Actually, I had really bad weather in this valley. I was there tonight because you got cross runways, so I can use it as a very short
Oh, yeah, what do you want
That's why I did it just 9 times.
Say that again.
It's 800. Right up there. It's 821 miles around the trip.
Yeah.
And I made it. Yeah, because you don't have the candidates yet. You don't have the room up here, that's why we do it. There's not enough seats. So it depends on what you got. I think Debbie's on there. Where she said she was gonna be. I can't read it.
Okay, there it goes. Okay, excellent.
I'm sure, yeah. You use a button. I started going this morning. Have them on. I think we can move them up since we're after 6. How many candidates are here? How many candidates are here tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we can squeeze.
I think we could squeeze them all. I would rather be down there than up here. Talking to people up there. Up there.
Yeah, move on up here.
Move on up to the big chairs.
Big boys and girls.
Big boys and
Yeah,
girls.
you guys get to the big boy chairs. And the big girl chairs.
You want to sit in front, Marty? Sit down here.
No.
Yeah, you're running.
Right down these 5. So, yeah, you're good.
You're up there, Gary.
You want to sit down here?
There's 5. Maybe that's where the.
My old seat.
Get down.
Old seat. Might be a new
I'm
seat.
good. Maybe.
I know it did. No, they're.
All right, I'd like to welcome you all here. I'm Kristen Shipman. I'm a new resident of the Inn. And we are here to meet the candidate for city council. I'd like to read the rules as we go through the pledge. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's open with the pledge of allegiance. All right. Mr. Sayre, would you start?
Yes, I would.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Now, the rules for the meet candidate night, comments on any question should be limited to the merits of the question. Comments should not be about other members and especially should not involve any personal attacks. Please keep the comments from becoming personal. Members should address the chair instead of each other. Do not interrupt another candidate while they are speaking. You will have your speeches stopped if you are slanderous or pursuing any personal attacks on anyone. Keep your speeches and responses to the topics related to Apple Valley and its future, not personal vendettas or the past. You need to address the chair instead of other candidates. Please remember, if you cannot abide by these rules, you will be escorted from the meeting gracefully.
And I just want to, I'm just part of the committee, so I don't hold any authority of any reason here. I just wanted to say thank you for coming. My whole goal for being on this committee was to stop the rhetoric that we've had for the last about 10 years. This, I think, is a format that would work for everyone. And I'm not affiliated with anyone. I am totally independent. I'm not a Republican, a Democrat, or other. I look at the issues, I look at the people, and then I decide. So I want you to know, I appreciate you as a citizen of Apple Valley for dedicating your time to wanting to serve us as a community. And I want to thank you for not protesting this. It was very disturbing to me to see what happened Tuesday night. So thank you for being here, even though I know some of you object to it.
Also, Boyd will be keeping time. And so when you see his blue card, you've got 1 minute left. When you see his gold card,
30 seconds.
you have 30 seconds.
When that changes, you're out of time. 10
Hey,
seconds.
your time. And when he says time, you're up. All right. Let's get started. All right. Each person has a 5-minute platform introduction. If you'd like to take the entire 5 minutes, you could. If you don't care to, that's all right. Let's start on the left. Oh, would you like to start?
I'll go first.
Awesome. Do it.
Hi, my name is Debbie Kopp. Most of you know me. I've been here since 2016. I came from New York. You might be able to tell I have a little bit of an accent still. I used to be on the town council. I resigned in January for reasons that I don't think we need to, bring up at this time. It's not the meeting for it. I think that we need to, take care of the people that are here in the town. I understand that we need development, but we have to take into consideration the people that already live here. I feel we need code enforcement, which we lack. It's just like the wild, wild west out here. And I'll do whatever I can to help the town.
Thank you. Are you going on the back row? Yeah, we're just going there and then. Oh, good. You got more
Go
time.
for it.
Go for it.
I'm Barrett Nilsson. I grew up in La Verga and spent the rest of my, in my married life living in Hurricane, and now we're up here for the last 3.5 years. I really love this town. So love the small feel of it, and I would like to see it stay that way myself. But I do know that growth is going to happen. That's an inevitable thing. But I think there are ways to control that and stay on top of it, stay ahead of it, make sure that the infrastructure is in place for it to happen, first off. But I don't know, I just figured this past 1.5 years has been one heck of a ride for all of us. And I've always just kept my head down and just kind of leave me alone. Don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers, don't want to get too involved in politics, but I just had the thought at the beginning of this year that I need to take part in local community stuff that goes on, because that's where we can make change or keep the good stuff going and not allow the bad stuff to infiltrate our community. So is this in my opinion, the worst thing that happened this past 1.5 years, was that we allowed the whole agenda of the politicians in our nation to infiltrate our families and break up our families. That was the saddest thing for me, was to see how it affected me and my family.
because we all have differing views politically, but they just drove a wedge between us. And I would like to be part of the positive, you know, kind of, I would hope to be some glue to help hold us together. So that's me.
Thank you. Rich can have my leftover time.
You can have mine too.
Might need it. My name is Richard Osowski. I have lived here and I want to thank everybody for coming. And one sorry note I do have to mention, I believe April passed away.
No, she didn't.
Didn't she? That's what somebody was saying. Anyway. If she didn't, that's good. She wasn't feeling too good, so I was hoping she was okay. The other note, you want to know a little bit about me, and that's why we're here, is meet the candidates. And I volunteered for Apple Valley for a while, 18 months as code enforcer. It was a way of getting to know everybody, one way or another. And I also, besides doing that, my history a little bit is that I was in the service for a few years during NAM. I worked at the test site. To give you a little about who I am, I worked at the test site. I did get a clearance as a secret clearance from the FBI, or Q clearance. So they did investigate me. I am squeaky clean. There's nothing out there that they can use against me. I've been to a lot of the meetings in the 12 years. A lot of the town council meetings, the water district meetings, and the planning commission meetings. I've seen a lot of changes in Apple Valley. And to be honest with you, this last few years, when Mosier, and I knew Mosier very well, Mosier did good for the town, but he also did some harm. But since Mosier left, I've seen the town go lower and lower and lower at a much faster pace. I believe in codes, but I believe in most of what I found out in the 18 months is that people don't realize this is a town and the newbies that's coming in. So a lot of it is just educational. You let people know their codes and you let people know and be fair about any violations. Some people don't listen to you. Then you take a little firmer hand. But as of right now, there's no consequences. Our mayor is the code enforcer. People do complain to me, and I have stayed out of it because there's nothing I can do. Today, I filed 2 grammar requests and 1 nuisance complaint, but it was on a developer. My stand on development is we either put a moratorium on it because water is the issue. I'm scared to death of water. And even though we got a pipeline supposed to come through, and who's going to pay for the pipeline is a big issue. And now we got to take another route because the access route that was straight on through, we cannot use because the owner refuses to let us go through. So we've got a lot of issues. I say this election is really important. And to put the right people in now, Apple Valley may have a chance. But if you travel outside of Apple Valley, you're going to find out that we do not have a very good name or a reputation. And whether you're talking to your hairdresser or anybody, and I bring up Apple Valley to anybody I meet, and they all have an opinion of it, and it's not a very good opinion. We need a change, and that change needs to happen fast. And as we need to control our development, and we don't need another developer coming in an official way, and they know the ins and outs. I was in construction for 41 years. I know the ins and outs of what a contractor can do, and it is not good. So my situation to the problem is to be fair and transparent. Transparency is the big. We got an awful problem in here with management. We lost a lot of good employees here, and the employees that's in here now are in chaos as of today. So I'm not asking for your vote. I'm just letting you know where I stand, but do vote another candidate in.
Signs of nerve-wracking. I'm Ann Beto, and I'm running for the 4-year term. Just want to give you have to do notes. Sorry. A little bit about me. We have been up here for 2 years. We were previous residents for 7 years. We've moved back up here because we love Apple Valley. We love what it has to offer. We're horse people. We like to ride. Quite frankly, it's one of the most affordable places in the county to live, but it's also one of the most beautiful places. And we missed it, so we're back. I am currently finishing my degree, my bachelor's degree in world history with a minor in American studies. I should be done by the end of October. So that's a bucket list I'm checking off. So I have learned a lot about how our nation was founded and how our government works through those studies. It's been very fascinating. Some of my experiences includes I was worked for 3 years in human resources for a company that we provided vocational and residential services for adults who were developmentally disabled. And through that experience, I learned to work with a whole variety of people, not to mention our clients. But so I have that background in human resources. I then also worked as a student activities coordinator at the Town Point Job Corps Center in Oregon, where I was the student activities committee or activities coordinator. I was in charge of the student body in that whole process. I supervised their elections. I taught a leadership class to them every day, and I supervised them as they provided leadership training for the students on the base. So I do have leadership background through those experiences. And then I also worked in the special needs classrooms in the elementary schools for 3 years, where I was an aide assisting with special needs students in the elementary level. I am running for city council because I see there's a multiple opportunities for our community. The foremost is a chance to work on uniting our community. I think we're kind of shifting. I see it has gotten a little bit worse since we moved up here, and I think that this gives me an opportunity to help reunite our community. I also think that I see opportunities to improve our utilities, our roads, and our future growth in this community, because it's going to happen. We live in one of the most beautiful spots in the county, and people are coming here, and we need to make sure that we address those and make it happen right. I've also observed through the city council meeting and city meetings in general that we have been to that seems to be a select few of people that are there and voice their voice. For the majority of people don't come, and I don't know if it's because sometimes of the atmosphere of those meetings, they can be negative, that the residents choose not to come or don't come because they feel uncomfortable. I have heard some feedback that a lot of people don't like coming to them because of the atmosphere of the meeting, and I see an opportunity to make that change and make our meetings more accessible to everybody who wants to come. I also feel that those people that don't come need somebody to represent them, represent their concerns and their views and their opinions, and I am willing to be their voice. While I have my own views and my own opinions, I am not objective to hearing others, and I am willing to listen, and that's pretty much where I'm at. I will be the person that will listen, and I will bring their concerns to the city council if I'm elected, and we will address those that especially those that are pertinent to making our community better. I have to agree with Brother Nelson. This last election was bad, but I think change begins in our own communities. That's where we make the change for the nation. So I would like to start here in our wonderful community of Apple Valley to make those changes.
Hi, I'm Kevin Sarah, for those of you who don't know me. I'm currently serving as an appointed representative of the people on the town council to fill a vacancy that opened a few months ago. I've lived here for 16 years, and I've seen a lot of changes in this community through that time. I love it up here. I moved up here to get ready to retire, which I've finally accomplished. My next goal is to die and be buried here, which I haven't reached that goal yet, but hopefully that's a few years down the road. Anyway, I previously have served for 6 years in the community. My first 2 years, I was appointed then when someone bailed out after the election. I was re-elected again for another 4-year term after that. I served as a town council during that time. I also served as the mayor pro temp. I was the liaison to the fire department, planning commission. I served as the councilman on the SSD along with the mayor at that time, who, by the way, a lot of the things that you see in this community right now was done a long time ago. And so I have to give credit where it's due to our mayor, but way back when. His son is here in the room today. He's a volunteer firefighter. He still lives up here, and we all know who we're talking about. I served with him for a long time, and I learned a lot. He taught me a lot. He wasn't perfect, neither was I. I made mistakes back then. If I'm reelected, I'll probably still make some mistakes. There's a lot of key issues for our community. It hasn't changed in the 16 years I've been here. And we're just going to keep moving forward with all of it. I was also, as you can see, a firm supporter of the fire department. I was a volunteer on the fire department for a while. I was on the town council and stuff. So I understand their plights pretty well. I also worked for the town after my 6-year term was up. I ended up working for the town part-time. I also was working part-time for the SSD at that time. So I'm well aware of many of the issues and concerns of our community and things that need to be handled. Currently with the current administration and even from the past, I will tell you, when this town was formed, it was a blotch of this and a blotch of that. We just took ordinances from all over the county and threw them all together and formed the town. We've been trying to everybody's been trying to straighten those up for a long time. There's still lots of work to do there. They're still in the process. My hopes is, the reason that I came back is because I was semi-retired and I had a lot more time available to serve in my community. I'm a big fan on serving in my community. I believe that's a great thing to do. I come from humble means. I am the people's servant, and I'm here full ears to listen to whatever your concerns would be. I can guarantee you that not everybody, no matter what decisions we make, someone will be unhappy. It's inevitable. We'll do the best we can with it. I hope to have a positive influence on this community. I like to say to some degree, I'm a soothsayer. For most of you don't know what that is. It's a person who gets his butt kicked, beat up, smacked, trashed, and thrown out the door, trying to accomplish those things to move the whole community along as a whole. And I felt that way back then, and I still feel that way now. That's why I'm here, because this community has been in turmoil for the 16 years that I've lived here. I'm not lying when I say that I've been beat up, slapped, stomped on, cussed at. And that was why after 6 years, I finally gave up. I'd had enough. I'm down to 1 minute. Let me go fast. Okay. I'm a devoted patriot of the United States. I'm concerned at the loss of the freedoms that we are experiencing on every local government level. As members of local government, we are required to take an oath to uphold the Constitution. I take that responsibility very seriously. I want to be involved so that I can help preserve our God-given natural and inalienable rights, and to defend, uphold, and promote our liberties and our freedoms according to the laws of our Constitution and our community. I care about our community, and I'm aware of the many current and future issues that we have and the impacts that it will have on us now and later. We need people that are knowledgeable. We need people that have wisdom. And we have people that need to be prudent in their decision making in this community to move forward. I invite that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marty Lisenby, previous mayor and also currently on town council. I was appointed mayor in September of, let me go back in my memory banks, 2018. And served as mayor for quite a while. It was, it's a challenge. The mayor job is where you're on the line of fire. It was 30, 40 hours a week and sometimes more of people that are just angry at you. I mean, everybody. I mean, it's just every day there's someone yelling at you for something. And after a while, it wears on you a little bit. And so I decided to do some more traveling and spend time with the granddaughter. And but service is what it's about. Being able to help my neighbors, our community is something I've always done. I've donated my time to this cause for the last 3 years. I have given my heart and my soul to the job. I've learned a lot in the process of that. When you deal with all the people I've had to deal with, you learn a lot. Meetings with attorneys, developers, engineering, there is just a wealth of knowledge that I've experienced in that time and learning to do that job. The challenges that Apple Valley faces is growth is one of them. You know, the people, a lot of people don't want anything in our backyard at all. Zero. I don't want anything in my backyard. And, you know, I look out my backyard and I love the view I have. And it'd be awesome if it could just stay that way for 20, 30 years. I would love it. I'm not, even as mayor, you know, we never chase down anybody to say, oh, come and build in Apple Valley. It's, they show up on your door. I own this piece and this is what I want to do with it. And nobody hears about stuff we, you know, turn down. You hear about the ones that we did approve. But when I talk about my view, we're not talking about a view that I own. Someone else owns that. A guy that owns that view. And so the League of Cities has a term. They use an acronym. It's the NIMBYs is what they call it, out in my backyard. And there's a lot of people, that's where they live. They're okay with things happening, but it's not my backyard. And when it comes time and it's in my backyard, I'll be right there voting for it, because if it's the right project at the right time and everything lines up, because it's important that not only do we have to have consistency in our decision making. When you have a developer that you say yes to on the highway down here for zone change at a couple of hundred homes, and the same meeting is 25 lots, and you tell him you don't have enough water, but he's okay, there's something wrong with the decision making if that's part of your the way you think. And that's because that one's in your backyard and this one isn't. And you have to have that consistency from time to time, from place to place. And I feel like that I offer that consistency that yeah, we have to listen to everybody. We have to listen to your concerns. And then we have to make the right kind of decisions, because even the guy that's got the application in front of us for a decision, he's also the guy that's a landowner here. He's also the guy that has rights here. They have property rights here as well. I'm big on the property rights. I think it's important, but we have to hold their feet to the fire when it comes to them doing the infrastructure, them doing the right things to make a project work. I think I have a lot to offer the community with my knowledge and my background as mayor and as town council. I've supported the fire department, for example. We'll get into that later on a little bit more, but we'll go into some details on some of that, and I'll show you where I've supported the fire department all along and have been a big supporter. And I'm going to, I'll get into the details when that comes up. But anyway, thank you.
Hi, I'm Margaret Osowski, and a lot of you people probably already know me and know my background, but for the new people, I'll go over it again. I started my career at a stock brokerage firm. It was before computers, so I typed up a little ticker tape and sent the orders to the the exchange floors via teletype. And then I went to work for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And I worked in several departments, and my last one was in the crime lab. And then I went to work for an eye surgeon. So he was a retinal specialist, and so I was a scrub tech for a retinal specialist. And so then when you have a retinal detachment or flashes and floaters or stuff like that, then you would come and see us. If someone screwed up your cataract surgery, you'd come and see us. So that's my career background. As far as the town, we moved here about 12 years ago, and basically we moved here because of the recreation that this area offered. I actually really wanted to live in Dameron Valley, but we ended up here. So I take full advantage of the mountain biking, the hiking, whatever's out there, because it's here, it's right in my backyard, and I don't have to drive. I also have attended most of the town meetings, and as some of them here can attest, I'm very opinionated, and I try to hold the town accountable for what they zone and different things like that. So I do kind of know the codes somewhat. I couldn't, cite them to you people, but I just had a discussion with Mr. Beddoes and Mr. Sayers the other night about the horse thing, and what I thought was one thing, and they said it's another thing. So our codes are really all screwed up and ambiguous. There's different spots, and that is something this town really needs to address. And I've always conserved on water. I'm a big, my husband isn't, but I am, because in my garden, I've got Oyas. I don't know if you guys know what Oyas are, but they're these little vessels that are put underground, and then you fill them with water, and it doesn't evaporate. So that's me. I wanted to be a town council member, and I've tried, and they never get picked. I'm always like the bridesmaid, never the bride. And, it's just how it is. I guess I just don't have it, and so I'm just going to run for the office instead of trying to be appointed, because it just seems like the appointed positions go to certain people and other people are left out. But that's just how it is, and I face that, and I deal with it. There are some issues that, since we're not allowed to bring them up, I won't bring them up, but I was at a meeting and there were state representatives there, and they were asking me what the heck is going out there in Apple Valley. And I just, we need help. And so bottom line is, that's why I'm running for office. I think, there needs to be a change, and we need to have some people in here that want to do the job and not just be sitting there filling a seat. They actually want to do the job and take the heat. I take the heat. I've taken the heat a lot. I've been called all kinds of names, so it doesn't bother me. But we really need people that want to do the job, and not say that they want to do it and say they're going to promise. I can't promise roads, and I can't promise anything. All I can say is I will do the job, and that's all.
Thank you, all of you, for introducing yourselves. We are going to go to the question portion. And we'll start with me. We'll start. Well, we're going to start back here because that's where we start beginning. All right. Okay. What are your plans for getting water? Well, water is a major concern for everyone these days, especially for Apple Valley's for residents. What are your plans for getting water to the residents? How are you going to fund this? And the other one is, what is your plan on how to handle water for the city going forward? And will this be governed by the special service district or other?
I feel that right now a major concern for us is the
Excuse me
water.
1 second. 2 minutes for this round, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't worry, I'll.
I didn't think it'd be a problem. I just wanna make sure
2
everybody
minutes
understood.
per
2
question.
minutes per question, yes.
Okay, I feel right now our major concern is we need to get the piping to the million-gallon tank in Cedar Point, because by the end of this summer, we're like 350,000 gallons now. By the end of the summer, myself as well as every other resident in Cedar Point could be out of water. So I think we need to get that done before we decide to take the piping across the highway to future developments. We have to worry about what we have now. As far as funding, of course, we need to get money from somewhere. I feel maybe if we have people that are experiencing grant writing that can do a good job and get it done in a timely manner, maybe we could, look into something like that to get as much money we can from the government. That way, it's not a hardship on the residents here, because there are a lot of families in this town that are struggling already. And to have more payments, like the gateway and everything else, is gonna put a further burden on everybody. And before the powers were taken away from the SSD, I'm not 100% sure, but I thought they were close to getting a grant for the project, but I don't know what happened to that. As far as the SSD or a water department, I feel the SSD was fine before all the politics and personalities got involved and muddied the waters. I would have to see facts from a reliable outside source stating that we would be better with a water department. I do not like the fact that only one person is controlling the town, and we need to have more separation and checks and balances.
I can follow
Debbie answered it the way I was going to.
Just say.
The SSD or water district, water department, to me, who is running it? Who is the actual people that are running it? And I'm not saying, the current mayor that we have is a bad choice. I'm just saying it, or that Harold Merritt was a bad choice being involved in it. It's just the people that are governing it is the issue. Not that we have an issue with it, but that's the important part. And so with that, I think it's kind of sixes in my mind, but SSD or water department, but water is our big thing, and she did such a fantastic job of answering those questions. As you will see, I'm not super good at public speaking, so I need it. Right? I should have followed your lead, written it down, but
Thank you.
you're up, Rich.
We should start by the time that's left over for me and you.
By the time you giving some of these people 20 minutes.
I'd like to do it.
I'm gonna need 2 hours.
So the first question, what are your plans for getting water to the residents? First of all, the residents, who are we talking about? The thing of it is development. Development needs a lot of water. We gotta control development before you talk about getting residents. And the residents in some areas, it's impossible. When you buy a piece of land out in the boonies, you don't expect water to be out there. So that is an issue in itself. And you gotta have clean water. So development, we need to limit, and we also need to inform people if they are wasting water. There's over 500 wells in Apple Valley. There's a lot of wells that aren't metered. Secondly, how do we fund this? I was at the meeting the other night.
So we don't know that, so I can't make an informed decision on growth and development because I don't know how much water we have. If we just have a little, then we're gonna have to slow down development. If we have a lot, then maybe we could build, bring it a little higher. But I don't know, so it's hard to make that decision. There are people in this town that would, help and write grants, but they've been used and abused and they don't want to do it anymore. So that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Oh, and I would have the SSD because they can go outside the town boundaries.
Thank you.
All right, the growth of Apple Valley is a concern for all of our citizens. What is your understanding of the current growth rate of Apple Valley and what is the projected growth next year? As a city council member, not mayor, how would you handle that growth? And there's been a lot of talk about making developers pay for infrastructure like they are required to in other places. Are you in favor of this? And how will you implement a plan required developers to continue to pay for the infrastructure? Sorry.
I'm not a mind reader. I don't have all the facts and figures on, how many houses are gonna be built in, the next year. I can say that I hate that motto, life elevated, because that's what brought all the people here and that's what's taking all our water. I do know that when we first built our house in 2015, there had not been a building permit issued in 8 years in Cedar Point. Since we came, some people say we opened up the floodgates, but Cedar Point is busting at the seams now. There's like hardly any empty lots there. And I just don't know where all the water's coming from. I do feel that developers should pay for their infrastructure and should pay for their roads. Because think of it, when you buy a piece of land, you're buying that land. It's your responsibility to develop it, to put in the infrastructure. I know when I built my house, the first one or this one, nobody helped me with my building permit fees. Nobody helped me with my standby fees. Why should we help the developers when they want to come to us? It's our, even though they own it, they come to us, they need to do their stuff. Okay, boy. Basic utilities should be available to anyone in the town. Again, the same thing. If you invest your money in a piece of land, would you not do your due diligence to find out ahead of time, is there water on my land? Is there power there? Don't wait till you come to the town with your land and then say, oh, I don't have anything. How are you going to help me? As far as paving our roads, it's quite obvious that a lot of our roads don't even meet the minimum standards. I think.
You've gone to the wrong course, to the next question.
Oh, crap. We know you're prepared.
She is prepared.
Well, no, that was part of it.
Yeah, but she didn't ask that question.
Not yet. Not yet.
Oh.
There were too many to do in a 2-minute time.
Due to the, due to the, all of the talk about the water issues, it feels like the growth is going too rapidly. Like there's not enough infrastructure for the growth that's going on. Because I think that, as was mentioned earlier, that the residents that live here, their needs should come first over anybody else's. And so we need to make sure that that infrastructure is in place before that happens. And I do agree that developers need to pay their share. They're the ones that are going to be making, somebody that comes in and puts in 25 lots, they're going to be selling those and they're going to be making money off of it. So they need to be putting the bill for that. The reason why our land is so cheap out here is because the utilities don't go right to the front of the property. You go down to Dixie Springs and you go buy a building lot out there and you're looking at $280,000 for a quarter-acre building lot. But it's got all the utilities. It's got the streets, the curb and gutter, the sidewalk. It's got everything is right there. So there's cost there. And our land out here is inexpensive because it doesn't have that. And so, yes, the developers need to be paying for that. And I think that's it.
Thank you.
The question is, what is your understanding of the current growth rate of Apple Valley and what is the projected growth next year. That's hard to determine, but what is determined is by the water. And the other thing, as far as growth, I think we need to put some type of moratorium until we can get our heads together. We can't let it keep going and going. Right here, I do have a piece of paper that it's everything that's zoned for growth. And there's a lot on here, and the thing about it is that we can't continue with this rate. We gotta see the water problem first. As far as infrastructure, anything connected with a development should take care of the infrastructure. Whether it's a water tank, anything that they need should be done by the developers. This town is really ready to explode, and people are coming this way, and developers have money. And so they need to share a little of that money by helping Apple Valley, because they're just here to make money. And basically, most of them don't live here. So the deal of it is, we need to watch what we're signing. And what agreement, a developer's agreement, that's all good and well, but if the town has no background to make sure that that developer does the right thing, we have a problem on Rome Avenue up here. The road's not wide enough for the 25 homes. Come on, we have a code, we should follow the code, and if the code calls for a wider road, the developer should pay for it. We're sorry if maybe they don't have the money, and then the time frame. We're putting too long a time frame on these developers. You know, they can sit on their land for 3 years and get an extension. So I think we're not watching it as closely as we should, and we need to take care of our water to get to them. Thanks.
I don't know what our projected growth is. All I can say is if it's anything to do with what's going on in the rest of the county, we're going to grow. It's just the nature of the beast is happening right now all over Washington County. And I don't think Apple Valley is going to be exempt from that. So we can expect growth. I do believe that, yes, the developers should contribute to our infrastructure. And I think that is a great way for our town to get the improvements that we need, that whether it's paved roads, better water systems, utilities brought to things. That is one of the ways that we can improve our town and our infrastructure is through the developers. Just like some of the other candidates said, they're coming up here and they're making money. There's no reason why they can't help contribute to the town. And they want it to be better for their residents. They're not going to sell their lots if they don't have the amenities that people want. So it's into their best interest as well as to invest into the city for those things. And I know that there's a lot of issue about the water. Again, if the developer doesn't have the liquid water, then I don't think that they should be able to develop. And that's probably one of the things. And then even if they have the liquid water, it's like they have to have a way to get it to their residents and make it productive for the rest of the city and the rest of the community. And I think that that's where we need to hold them to it. And I don't see where a developer would really welcome that. I'm sure there will be those instances that's where the city needs to toe the line and say, this is what it is if you want to come to a community. And that way, through that process, we can get the improvements that we need in our community.
All right, growth rate, yeah. In the last 14 years, I think we had 10 building permits, maybe if we were lucky, wasn't much. But since then, in the last couple of years, that has multiplied tremendously up into the 30s and 40s, maybe even beyond that growth-wise. Next year, I don't know. We'll see what happens, right? Obama's in office. I remain Biden's in office. Can't say anything else. Yeah, with caution, I can tell you that. Yes, the developers need to take care of as much of that infrastructure as possible. I do support that. There are some big projects pending out there. It could be hundreds of homes before it was done and said. You have a lot of landowners up here that have control over contact Desmond.
That's my job too.
We're accepting volunteers if anybody wants us.
Blue light.
No, come on, a second, take a second. So, back on. All right, we're back on again. So regarding growth, we probably grew in the last couple of years about 25 homes. I thought it was more than that based on the number of building permits. It felt like we were doing a lot of more solar and different things like that. But I would say probably the last 2 years, maybe about 25 homes per year. And the projections of what it can be in the future is anybody's guess. I mean, it's no one really knows what that will look like. There's a lot of talk about zone changes that have been done, and zone changes are not subdivisions. You do a zone change and then someone comes in and they have to actually do the engineering plat, their subdivision, and you jump through a lot of hoops that provide information that would include where are they gonna get the water, how's the water gonna get there, and they have to provide all of that. So we have really only one project that's even begun to do that, and they're not even platted yet, actually. You know, Jefferson Canyon is not even platted. And, if that comes to pass, that'll probably be our first project in 3 years that has really done anything. And that's because it's so expensive for developers. They come out here and they start adding it up. They buy a piece of ground, they start figuring, doing the math. It's too expensive and they go away. But in the meantime, what they did is they asked for a zone change because they're doing the homework. They do the homework, they find out they can't afford to build out here. And so that's often what happens on a lot of our developments that are in process. Yeah, we have a lot of zone changes. We don't have a lot of developments that are actually in process. They're actually coming together. So, as far as growth goes, as I've said before that I think everybody has a right to develop their property, and we have to look at any application that comes up. We can't just put a moratorium on. Our attorney told us that's the quickest way to get sued, because we collect $12,000 impact fees from everybody, and we've been doing that for years. And as soon as you do that, that means that you're supposed to do something with that $12,000 to provide that services to future people.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, you know, being a small town like Apple Valley and it's relatively new, we do have growing pains. And unfortunately, that kind of leaves us to be prey to developers and what they want. And we can't dictate what they want, but they can dictate, we can't dictate what we want. They dictate what they want to us. I know there's, over the past couple of years, there's been at least 16 zone changes for hotels, RV parks, motels, cabins, and homes. So I actually forgot my list of numbers, but I think it was like right now on the books, there's 1,200 possible homes that could be built. And I think it was 394 motel, hotel, cabin spaces, 105 RV spaces, plus there's 105, I said 105 acres that is supposed to be zoned RV and cabin. So, you know, if you don't come to the meetings, you don't know what's going on. And our next planning commission meeting, there's going to be some more zone changes, and they want more homes and commercial area, and they want more of these tiny homes. And so I guess we'll be the Apple Valley, the home of tiny homes.
All right, utilities should be covered straight across the board, yet 35 to 40%. 35 to 40% of our residents have limited access to power, limited sewer and water. What is your plan going forward to see these services are equal among all our residents? 40% of our roads are currently paved. What's your plan to complete this? And Bubbling Wells subdivision has a combination of public and private access roads. Do you feel this is a challenge or fair to the other residents in the area? Do you have a plan to remedy this issue?
Okay. The one part about the utilities, I kind of already did that.
Yeah,
I'll
you
just
did.
go to the next one. As far as paving our roads, it's quite obvious that a lot of our roads need, improvement. Some of them don't even meet the basic standards. I feel like we maybe need to make, I know we did it at one point, make a priority listing of the worst roads and just, what little money we have, just start chipping away at it, because doing nothing about it just makes people angry because they know that the money's sitting there and nothing's getting done with it, so they don't feel like they're getting anything for what they're paying for. As far as Bubbling Wells, I will not give a comment on this subject because I was part of the unwarranted litigation against us residents up there, so I reserve my comments on that. The last one about the general manager.
Nobody
No,
has
No,
We have the bed and breakfast.
That's kind of a loaded question, I think, because, the question, 35 to 40% of our residents have limited access to power. And do I have a plan to make sure that everybody has equal opportunity to that? If you go and build a house a long ways away down a couple mile dirt road where there's no utilities,
It's on you.
it's kind of on you. There's not equal opportunity if you're gonna go a long way away from it and run along extension cord, I guess, I don't know. What do you do? So that one, I really don't, I wouldn't say that that I have a plan for that because, that's an individual case by case basis. But, the roads, just like Debbie said, they do need to be kept up, they do need to be upgraded. The reason that we chose to live in Cedar Point by a lot there, we actually were really wanting to go build out there by where Sayers are at. But I have a road motorcycle and that's a dirt road. And I was like, no, I don't want to be driving this motorcycle up and down this gravel dirt road and all dusty. So I bought there because it was a nice paved road with gutters and pavement. So I do think that is an important thing, that we upgrade our roads and make them nice so that they're not muddy and potholes and a problem for future residents like myself, choosing. That was the big deciding factor for me. So that's it.
Okay, let's talk about, power, limited sewer and water. Sewer is a given because septic tanks, we don't have sewer here. We would like to have sewer here. We'd like to tap into that line out by, 59, but we don't. So sewer is a septic tank. Power, you buy a lot, and if it has utilities on it, you pay more money, and you got power. That's not our problem with power. That's Rocky Mountain. Okay. Water, that's the same thing. We can't pipe water to every spot in Apple Valley. But people, when they buy lots, they got to understand if there's no water there, of course, they're going to pay a cheaper rate. So water's not going to be, and most of them try to drill wells anyway. Paved roads. I live on a dirt road. I've been there 12 years. I can promise you we're going to do something about it, but I won't lie to you. I said that last night at the meeting. We can't do anything about the dirt roads. We had a big meeting on the budget 2 years ago. There's nothing we can do about dirt roads. Where's the money coming from? So I'm sucking it up. As far as a challenge, what was it to residents? Oh, dedicated roads. We can't even take care of our own roads. Why would we want somebody's private road to take the upkeep on? Leave it as it is. We will grow to that point. But let's not force people into trying to take their private roads away from them that they bought in an area that was designated that way. So I feel like let's leave the private roads alone for now. We got bigger issues to cook than that. That's it.
Thank you. I guess I have to agree a lot with some of the other candidates said that if you're gonna go plant yourself out in the middle of nowhere, then you can't expect the city to provide everything. However, I do think that there are some areas of the town where we probably could do something to help those residents. I think the way you attack that is you find the highest need and you work towards that. And you're not gonna be able to solve all those problems at once, but you're gonna be able to chip away at them. And you know, if you live down a 20-mile road all by yourself, you can't expect the city to do that. But if you're in an area where there's 4 or 5 homes and nobody has access to city water and it's easy enough to run a loop or something, then I don't see where that can't be put on future prospects for bringing those services to those people. I think that's only fair. As far as the roads go, first of all, I'd like to commend the administration so far in helping patch our roads, and they're working to do that. They're working with UDOT and other places to try and help improve what we already have. I think this is where development comes in. This is where we can improve our road systems and pave them by expecting developers to do so, especially if they're accessing those roads. And then it's just a matter of how we spend our money. When we have a little bit of extra money here, are we going to allocate it to roads, or what's the highest need? And that's probably another avenue of fixing our roads, whether it's improving the dirt or putting pavement down, bubbling wells. I think if there's public utilities on that private road, then it should be dedicated to the city. Other than that, it'd be a case by case basis, I think.
Let me go back and do a little quick history. The only reason, besides Cedar Point, that there's anything to keep the dust down, whether it's chip seal, asphalt, or anything, is because when we did the Gateway project, they were able to save a sufficient amount of funds, and we were able to take that rest of that money from that project and do the chip and seal throughout the community. Do I like the chip and seal? Yes. When I moved out here 16 years ago, I knew it was a dirt road. I knew it would be a dirt road for a long time. I'm not a huge favor of riding horses, but we have a lot of people that have horses in our community, and it's a little rough riding across asphalt with a horse or your 4-wheelers or anything else. So I was okay. I don't mind eating a little dirt. It's good for you. Anyway, you want current plans to complete this. Money-wise, it's very expensive. They took a survey before I left office last time, and it was an overwhelming majority of the citizens did not want to pay for any improvements to the roads. So you need to consider that also. Maybe it's time to take another survey. That could have changed. I don't know how you would pay for it. We get about, I think, currently $80,000 a year in road funds from the county. But that's not enough to get a whole lot done, but it does help. Yeah, I know it's taken. I can say that that it's being looked at. We don't have a solid plan yet. There are some stuff bouncing around. It could help out down the road if it comes to fruition, but it's still a ways out there. So private roads, same thing like she said. There is a problem with private roads. I support people having private roads, but if you believe we have to put a water line down there, it has to be owned by the town or it can't happen. So there are some legal challenges with that also. As far as the private roads, I'm willing to leave it like it is. It's their deal until it gets to the point where it has to change. So you got to do something. You got to make a decision.
So on the, I think I'll skip over the utilities and all that, because everybody's pretty much covered it. If you bought on the middle of nowhere, that's your problem. But some of those people are going to get service when some of that development heads that direction anyway. Richard Fisher's an example where he's out there in the middle of nowhere. There's a project right next to him. He'll end up getting power, or he has power, but water at some point. As far as sewer goes, we've had discussions. Mayor Beto, in fact, has set up a place for us to even have a lagoon type of system, touch base with the state as far as the ability to do that. And I'm also aware of some funding that's available through grants. And they won't fund, any development, but they will fund existing, which is perfect for us. And it could be that we can get this grant funding that brings in these sewer lines that hooks to this system that we've done some homework on already, that helps us have the ability to have a lagoon system set up in Apple Valley. The lagoon location is south of where the old golf course was. There's some BLM land, and they're willing to let us have this land for the purpose of lagoons. And there is some funding for that. Private roads. On the private roads, we don't require anybody to dedicate a road to build a house or anything else. There's some of the private road stuff comes up, and it has to do with, they want to create a new lot. And if you create a new lot, our ordinances say you have to have it on a public road. And one of the reasons is there was a resident that had a 5-acre piece behind their property, and they actually blocked someone's ability to get to their 5-acre piece because of landlocking. And that's the reason we do it. So you can't do that.
Okay, on the Bubbling Wells area, there was a survey done, and the majority of the people out there do not want their roads to be public. They want to take care of their own roads. There's a survey done. I believe it was done in Marty's time. And they were asked, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 16 questions. And those 16 questions, all of them wanted to keep it as they are. They wanted to just maintain it themselves. As for our roads over here, if you attend any meetings, periodically I get up and start complaining about the dirt roads, wanting something done with them.
On the highway, let it be commercial. We need to get some businesses in here that's gonna give us like revenue. We don't get that much revenue from the property taxes on the homes. And the amount of homes that are going up here now is kind of like a growth situation, thinking of our waters. We got more homes than we have water available. And also we need to protect what we have here with the water, and also what water is needed for fire safety. We can have 1 million homes if there's no water. What's going to take care of the houses if they go on fire? Bring business in town that's beneficial to our community. And as far as lighting, we're supposedly a nice sky town. We have nice sky ordinances. We just redid the lighting ordinance. We do not need lights in homes that are 30-foot high that shine into parking lot lights that shine into people's bedrooms. So that we need to look at.
Thank you.
The light pollution, we just need to enforce the ordinances we already have. That's pretty simple, I think. And we do need to get commercial here to support so that the residents aren't taking their money somewhere else, as well as the people that are passing through. Help that. We do need to get more than just the gas station. And that can, we get revenue off of the tiny homes and a little bit.
Tiny is not for the word.
Tiny, a tiny revenue off of it. But we do need to have commercial stuff here, but I think it should stay out on the highway. There's an excellent place for it. But I do love being a bed and breakfast community. I do like that because it keeps everything small and low key. Did you have that last one there, the restrictions?
Yeah.
As few as possible. But we do need to have restrictions, but otherwise people go crazy. But I don't know what I would say, what those would be.
Thank you.
On the bed and breakfast. Bed and breakfast is our problem throughout the country. Las Vegas, all the way to here. Bed and breakfasts make money because you gotta make sure they're paying their permits. And you gotta make sure you're inspecting them. A bed and breakfast, you don't have to have anybody living on the premises. So somebody can buy property and do a bed and breakfast. A vacation rental's different. Vacation rental, you gotta be on the property. But a bed and breakfasts need to be regulated. We don't even know, I believe, how many we have in the community. And we gotta check them every year. So they are out of control. And there's nothing we have done about it. Light pollution. Light pollution seems to be a big complaint from people. What they feel is lighting up their yards. We have a neighbor here that a house was built and their lights shine up the hill right into their bedroom. Light pollution has a code. And what the deal is, the code needs to be enforced. It isn't enforced. People come to me or anybody and ask, what can we do about it? You can file a nuisance complaint, but it doesn't go anywhere. So the problem with light pollution, we like our night sky. But with development, you got to control development. If you ever been out to Little Creek Station, that lights up pretty good. That sign kind of blows us away. And the problem with light pollution, I hate it. I come from Vegas. You can see Vegas from a mile around. With all this development, you're going to have a problem. And you got to have somebody out there on a full-time basis watching this problem. Up to this point, we haven't been watching it. And people had lights on that actually shined on the road in our area that blind the drivers, and all 10 of the homeowners wrote a complaint. It was an awful job trying to get them to turn their lights down. It's 650 lumens, I believe.
Come on.
Thank you. I think that our community does need commercial base, because that's how we're gonna bring revenue in to pay for the infrastructure, the roads, the things that we need. I think it can be done hastily and that benefits our community, doesn't become too overwhelming. Maybe that's through local businesses, I'm not sure, but as commercial bases start to come into the community, I think that we need to make sure that it's going to be conducive with our community, that helps keep the atmosphere of what we have. We don't want to have big box stores up here. I would hate to see a Walmart coming in, but local businesses would be awesome. And I think it's very important that we do have more commercial base, because that's how towns get their revenue to function the way they need to. As far as light pollution goes, I've lived in communities that also were night sky communities, and there's ways that we can do that. I know in one of the communities we lived in, if you had porch lights or something, they had to have a cover over them, so they're not shining directly out. I've seen plans where people wanted to keep their street lights so that they weren't, you put covers over those, so they shine straight down and it doesn't interfere with your night sky. I think there's a lot of ways that we can implement some of those. I know we do have some codes, maybe they need to be changed a little bit, but there are a lot of options out there. that can be done to make requirements so that we do protect our night sky and that it remains that way up here, because that's one of the draws of living in Apple Valley.
I used to live in Ivans. I left when they put street lights up, so I get it. I was also the code enforcer. I'm very well aware of the light pollution ordinances and the issues going on around town with those also. It's kind of a dang if you do, dang if you don't. I do support the low lighting. I like the skies. So yeah, we do have some ordinances in place. It's a little tough, like Mr. Oskowski was saying, enforcing those. Bed and breakfast is yeah, it's expensive to live that way. I can tell you that the current administration, including me, they're working on a lot of things about how they're going to open up Main Street and the infrastructures that need to go in there and who will pay for it and what kind of businesses we want out here. And I've seen some really good plans in that direction. I will be honest, I was impressed. We do need some in order to continue maintaining our community. It needs to be controlled. And yeah, unfortunately, progress is here. It's coming whether we like it or not. How we manage it is going to be the important part.
Thank you.
During my time as mayor, I put out a questionnaire that was regarding Main Street, because I just felt like it'd be nice to get ahead of the curve on what we expect it to look like someday. Because today is the blank canvas, and having everything in place of what we expect from anybody out there, I think would be getting ahead of the curve. And I would like to still see that we continue to do that. And before we have, it's just, we get what we got because we didn't do anything, and planning ahead is important for that. What pays the bills for any community is sales tax. Having a Walmart and a Home Depot in your town is great for sales tax. It's terrible for a lot of other reasons. But businesses that generate sales tax is what we really want. If you have a, some type of hotel or a tiny cabin kind of a project, we don't get that much revenue off of those, relatively speaking. So those are, would not be our preference. It would be someplace that's actually generating a sales tax. Light pollution, we've already passed an ordinance for lighting. We updated it, and we had to build into that some time for compliance. And so I'd have to check the data that coming up. Basically, we gave 18 or 24 months time for that to take effect, that everyone had to be in compliance with it. So we've already acted on this, and I think we have a very good ordinance in place, and that was the goal, was night sky protections. But you have to get people, you can't just say, oh, hey, tomorrow you got to go and buy some new lights. I've already bought my new lights because of, having this. I wanted them all heading out for that reason. And anyway, that's is a challenge to do, but we have height limits. We have, they have to point down how bright they can be without them being pointed down and so forth. All right, looks like I'm out of time.
Okay, on the bed and breakfast and short-term vacation rentals, actually, I think our town needs to decide what they want to be, a town of visitors or a town of neighbors working on a common goal, improving our town. So if you want a bunch of vacation rentals and short-term things and bed and breakfasts, then you want to be a town of visitors. That's fine. But then if we have a bunch of vacation rentals, they need to all have business license, because I can guarantee you there are short-term vacation rentals in this town that do not have a license. That's all I'm going to say on it. I don't like them. I don't like strange people walking around my neighborhood, but they're allowed to do it by state, and so that's what it is. As far as our lighting ordinance, I think it needs to be revisited. I don't know, I'm going to show you guys, we're supposed to be at 600 lumens. This light is 550. It's pretty bright at night. If you were to turn these lights out, It was pretty bright. As far as the down cans, no, I can show you people that have these lights up. There's no down cans on them. They just glare right out there. And I really think it needs to be revisited. The luminance on motion detectors need to be reassessed. And they need to actually, the planning commission needs to look at the lights itself in the dark, outside, where it is and how much it spreads out to other areas, because they're not supposed to, but they do.
Thank you. All right, there are many large and small animal owners in Apple Valley. Do you plan to keep and protect the animal rights for these residents of Apple Valley that have relied on these rights? If so, what is your plan? In the recent years, there's been a change in the animal rights laws in this community. This community was founded as an animal ranch community. In recent hearings, many residents expressed their concern that animal ordinances were adjusted by a minority group of residents. What is your stand on animal rights? Should this stay a rural community? If you are in favor of animal rights to continue, do you think there should be control over the animals in our community, such as the point system we have now adopted, or from other states such as California, and Oregon actually, which favor more wealthy landowners? Or would you follow U.S. agricultural guidelines, which give landowners more autonomy?
Please. I am an animal lover, contrary to the rumors out there that I hate horses and I hate cows and everything like that. I do believe that people have right to have animals and love and care for those animals, but I also believe that the people living next to them also have rights to, if the people are not good caretakers for their animals, the neighbors shouldn't have to suffer for it. So I know we do have the point system. Planning Commission worked really hard on it. I think Cynthia was the chair at the time. They did a really good job with it. If the point system doesn't work, maybe we have to go to finding people if they don't pick up after the animals. I don't know, how that would work either, but there has to be a middle ground for the people that do not own animals. Our biggest problem is with the code enforcement with the animals is we don't have code enforcement. So we said, okay, you can have this, but you have to make sure you clean up your animal waste. Who's checking it? We have no code enforcement. I know I don't want to open up my windows on a cool night and smell what's going on down with, Bucky and all the other horses. And I wouldn't want to have when I had dogs, I was respectful of my neighbors to make sure they weren't outside barking at night. I think we need to be respectful of our neighbors.
Here.
I do agree with the rights of people to have animals, but they do need to be respectful with those animals. If their animals are running wild all over the place, that's not acceptable. If you want to have them, you got to take care of them. But pretty much anything to do with California, I'm against. So I don't think much good comes out of it. Law-wise, comes out of California. But you say in here, that there was a minority of people that were up in arms about the animals. I don't know how many people are real familiar with the vet, Max Brinkerhoff in St. George. That area where his clinic is at, there used to be lots of pigs out there. Lots and lots of pigs out there. People started moving in, and they must have bought their house on a day when the wind was blowing the pigs smell away from their house, but they started complaining about that. And so that forced the pig farmers to have to move because the city cracked down on them and basically you're chasing people away. Well, the way I see it, the pigs were there first. I don't think that somebody moving in, if you've got a horse and somebody moves in next to you and they don't like that you have a horse that's whinnying or, has a little smell to it or whatever, the horse was there first. You kind of got to suck it up. You chose to live there. But I do believe in, goes along with property rights, the right to own animals. So, done.
Animal rights. I'm a horse owner. But I also believe the people moving in nowadays don't have horses. The newbies coming in, horses are expensive. And I believe they have rights. Our horses clean daily. There's no code that says we have to clean it daily.
Yeah, there is.
Oh, is there?
No, I guess it's once a month.
Yeah. And there's no code, we clean daily, we get rid of it. I think you need to start listening to the people that don't have horses and try to find a happy balance. There's no enforcement. When I did my thing, I couldn't enforce the flies that went into the neighbor's window and they had to keep their door closed. But we give the horse cubes, we every way we can. Our neighbor is happy and they're right next to us and they told us, I respect my neighbors, but there needs to be consequences if you don't take care of the animal. California here, I don't believe that's a true statement. I don't think we did the states of California, and I agree. We don't care about California. California is here because they're getting rid of California. The thing about it is a place you need to look at is Torqueville. Torqueville has a restriction and cleanup, and they only have 2 horses. We have 4 horses. That means around my lot, I can have 16 horses because I have like 5 lots empty. I gotta be careful. So the 2 horses I like, but the 4 horses is a little much on an acre of land because you have nothing left once you put those horses in. And how many of you have seen horses in a real small corral with no shade? It is bad. I mean, really bad. We need to enforce the laws and change them and revisit them.
Thank you. I am all for animal rights. I am a horse owner. We have horses. As far as the point system goes, I think the intention was good, but I don't think it's appropriate for our area. We are a rural area. People move up here. That's one of the reasons we moved up here. And I know I've seen other people move up here for the very reason that they have horses. It's easy to ride out of here. It's more affordable. You can't afford to buy property in Hurricane or St. George or Washington for horses. It's just too expensive. And so people move up here. And that's why I think this town was founded as that. And it's not just horses. I know people raise chickens and they use those chickens for sustainability. And when you outlaw a rooster, that eliminates their options of reproducing their chickens. A hen only is going to lay eggs for so long. And if you can't reproduce more hens, then you're out of luck. And so I think that we need to be considerate of that, seeing that we are an agricultural community. I think the agricultural guidelines might be a little bit broad, and I mean, it may allow, I think it allows more than the 4 horses we already have on an acre. It allows a lot more, and I think we just need to look at it, maybe readjust it, make it more reasonable. But I do agree that we do need to be more responsible with our animals. I think those that move up here need to understand that they are moving into an agricultural community and that they can expect that they're going to have to live next to animals. And with that comes flies and smell, and you need to hope that your neighbor is going to be a little more respectful of your neighbors.
All right, so I have goats, chickens, dogs, cats, a few snakes running around occasionally, lizards. Yeah, I'm that guy. I definitely stand for the animal rights. Does there need to be, yeah, you need to be neighborly about it. If there's a mess, you need to clean it up. I don't have horses, but they kind of scare me personally. I'm a little high off the ground. I think I have height issues. Yeah, so, well, I've been riding, and the gentleman I went with, I swear he was trying to kill me. I'm not sure, but yeah. Anyway, we went down some crazy mountains. So yeah, I totally support that. It is rural community. I'm in favor of all that. I'm not sure with the point system exactly how that worked out, but yeah, California's doing it. I'm not interested. I tend to stay more along the agricultural stuff. I don't think because you're rich and have a lot of land, you should get a lot more privileges than the guy next door. I agree with everything they were saying too. Pretty much hit everything else on the head.
So, yeah, Cynthia, I was on plan commission when we passed the ordinance for the point system, and she pushed hard on it. I was not in favor of it. When I moved to Apple Valley, it was 3 horses per acre. And I remember, neighbor around the corner from us being harassed because he had 4 and they had to take it over to other family members. And, and that's, it's sad when that happens, because as a horse owner, I understand that you could have a foal, and then you could have a horse that you've had for 15 years, it's lame, you can't ride. And then the next thing you want is to have 2 or maybe 3 horses to ride. And it's hard to only have 2 or 3 horses. It's impossible. And I thought 2 was restrictive. When I was mayor, we looked at it again and said, can we make this less restrictive? We modified the point system to where today it's 4 horses per acre. It could be it still doesn't work for people because if you have goats or something else, it cuts into your 4 horses or something. So it could be that, but I'm horse friendly. I'm rural friendly because I just think that when it comes to the community, that's what it's not on. I want to talk about zoning for a second. We have a zoning that's SF, it's single family, and no animals are allowed. And so you buy in a SF kind of subdivision, and we have the ability for developers to develop that way, and there are no horses, there are no animals then. And if they want to develop that, they have that ability. But in the RE, that's rural estates, and you do have that ability to have horses. And so when somebody buys some rural estates and you have that horse ability, they need to take that into consideration as well. At the same time, it's important that we have that consideration that, we clean every day, twice a day at our house. And so there's never any kind of a smell going on in our place. But anyway, hope that answers questions.
Okay, I'm a horse owner, and I do clean my horse every day. I have a shade, but there was a survey that went around before this code was passed, and I'm going to read you some of the answers that were given on it. Because I wrote this to the planning commission. I was astounded by the answers of 36 horse/large animal owners. 28 out of the 36 did not think they should have to keep their horse areas clean, odor, and pest free. Another surprise was the 29 horse owners did not think they needed to provide cover or shade for their animals. It's hot, and I just don't agree with that at all. There was 104 respondents to the survey. 68 were non-horse owners and 36 were horse owners. So I don't know, surveys can be skewed however you want the answers to come, but I know they changed the code, and if you don't clean, you have 30 days to clean up if you get a ticket thing, and then they don't even do anything on that. Because I also did this thing, horses, this is on horses, and this is for one horse per day. They produce 31 pounds of manure, 2.4 gallons of urine. And so when you start picking up, and if you have any kind of bedding for it, it adds up into, lots of pounds. And I agree. I hate to say it, but I think 4 horses on an acre is a lot. I don't agree. I didn't agree with the code, and I don't agree with it now. And I know I'm driving around. There's still people that they don't pick up their manure. It's dirty, and to me, it's not right, and it's not right for the animal.
All right. The fire department is a very volatile issue these days. So asking, how will you keep our fire department going in the future, and how will you meet the needs of our residents if you look elsewhere for safety? Can you tell us how to bring the fire department up to date and where you will get the funding? Let's see, and will you be raising taxes to fund this venture? It is reported by Chief Zolg in his budget request that he's wanting to purchase a new fire truck. Where are you going to get the funding for this? You're looking at $750,000. Where will the money come from? And we'll go from there.
Okay. I do not have access directly to the fire department financials or their budgets, but I do know the only person that should be making these decisions would be the fire chief. He's the one that most directly knows what the town fire department needs, how it can better serve the community, and what they need for fire protection. As far as the money on the budget for the $750,000, that's been on the budget since Chief Louis' time, back and forth, on and off, on and off. What I understand, a less costly vehicle could be purchased for like $350,000, but if you don't purchase a brand new one, you can't get the funding. So that's why that large amount is on there. And as far as how to pay for it, put it on the budget and move the figures around like you do for everything else.
Grandpa was a firefighter. We had, growing up, the firemen in our community, mostly volunteer. They were a very central part of our community in Laverne and growing up. It was just awesome. Anytime we had community activities and stuff, they would come out, and I don't know, to me, it was just an awesome feel to have that and have those, and we had a very full staff volunteer fire department. And I think it is a very crucial part to our community up there because we are remote and we need to have that in place to keep ourselves safe in case of fire. The budget stuff, that's a question for Chief. So I have no idea about that. I've not even looked into it, but I do know that the fire department is a very essential part of our community. Should be, and they should be well taken care of by us as citizens. Okay.
I'm sure everybody got this flyer from Black Hawk and for Louis Ford. What the deal is, it says one question bothers me. I'm 100% behind the fire department. Fire department does a lot of other things. They do things like fire hydrants. They do inspections of smoke detectors. They look at bed and breakfasts. They look at vacation rooms. They do an array of things. You've got a number of firefighters. If you switch to Hurricane, it's going to cost us. You know, and coming up that hill with 4 firefighters is not always going to happen, and they won't get here in a timely manner. I give my hats off to the volunteers for the fire department, and they are one bunch of great guys. And they deserve credit. You know, nobody gives them enough credit for what they do. And as far as money is concerned, they've lived on a shoestring budget. That $750,000, the flyer says they can get it a lot cheaper. Now I know there'll be a rebuttal on this flyer from the town, but that's okay. I'm just going by the small facts. But leave our fire department alone. Let them do their job. And as far as Junior has always been kind to us and came out when we wanted him. And you call him up and he's right there. And they are trained people. And they're here within seconds, at least a few minutes. And so let's just give them, you know, what they deserve. Funding, they've operated on a shoestring budget for so long, and they've made it okay, and we need them in our community here. That's it.
First of all, I think it's amazing that we have people in our community that volunteer to do this. I mean, I know it's rigorous training that they have to go through. I have never done it, but I know that it's pretty intense, and that they would dedicate their time to do that is commendable, and I appreciate that they are willing to do that for our community. I think a volunteer fire department is essential to our rural area, and their importance. As far as the budget goes, that's a conundrum that we're gonna be fighting probably for a long time. We just don't have the tax revenue to afford a lot of the stuff that we need in our community to make our fire department function very well. And I think they're doing a great job with what they are doing. Maybe it's a matter of finding grants to get the money to purchase this fire truck that we need or the other equipment that we need. There's got to be ways to do it. I think that that's something we could look into. I'm more than willing to do the research, and if it needs to be right in a grant, I am willing to do that because it means safety of our residents. Then that should be top priority. And I think I don't know yet. That's something that needs to be investigated. But I do think that the volunteer fire department is important. I know we get a lot of support from Hilldale's fire department when we need them. And technically we're covered by hurricane to a certain point as well. And so we do have some backups when we need them. But it is great to have these guys, and I appreciate them and want to thank them for the service they do.
All right, you can start the time now. Just wanted to point that out. They say that it's very volatile these days with the fire department. It is. It's between the town and the fire department. It's freaking out of control. It's a goddamn mess. My heart hurts. I understand both sides. I'm trying to wear both shoes. I've been trying to get that problem resolved and get both sides to come together. I will tell you, I'm not having any luck. I will tell you this, if it continues at its present rate and condition, we're gonna have some serious issues. And that makes me really sad because I volunteered for the fire department. I know all the guys on the fire department. They are key to our community. There are two main things in this community, water and the fire department. This building was built by the citizens. It's been confiscated and taken over, and I just don't understand it anymore. I feel there's a serious lack of respect for the gentlemen in those positions. I take my hat off to them. Our lives are in their hands. If there's an emergency, gang, they should be our best friend. I can tell you, even right now, they have 100% of my support, and I'm fighting for them every day, every chance I get. And I will do so in the future. And if I am reelected, God will, not so sure, but they will still have 110%. And whatever they need, they'll get on my vote. And yeah, they've been abused and bashed and running on pennies for a long time. This goes way back. So I just want to thank them personally for all they do for our community. I think they're amazing.
So in 2018, the town council approved a fire truck, a Type 3 truck for the purchase. They're going to go through the Community Impact Board. Community Impact Board is how we get funding for a town. And that truck was $320,000, and half of it was paying grant, half of them a loan. And the fire department decided that they didn't want to go ahead and go through it at that time. 2 years ago, I put it on our Community Impact Board again as a 2 years out project, knowing that we have possibility of Jefferson Canyon, places like that coming on board that would help the funding of the town to be able to afford it. And that was 2 years ago. This year, I went before the Community Impact Board on behalf of the town and put on a $600,000 because I didn't have a number from Junior. I did the budget. I never saw the 750,000 number, but I had put 600,000 anyway, and it doesn't have to limit that. In the meeting, you can, or when we actually do the paperwork on, we put on whatever we want. Now, there's a chance that we can get a lot of that when we take our survey from RCAC that talks about what the income averages are here for our community. It could be that we can get a lot more than just a 50-50 on it. I've heard of it going as much as 100% when it's something like a fire truck. But worst case scenario, we can still go a 50-50 kind of a situation where we get grant and funding for, loan from them. It's at like 2%. Payments on that's like probably $1,500-1,600 a month. It's doable in our budget even right now to do that. And so I would support the purchase of a Type 3. I think that absolutely we need, that's most likely what we're going to get is a brush fire out here.
This is the last question.
Okay, you know what, I really miss those darn chili cook-offs, and I want to wear my chili pepper apron again, because that really did bring everybody together, and we had great times. So I really miss that, and I hope that the fire department will put on a darn old chili cook-off, because I want a chili dog. As far as funding to get the equipment, well, I believe last night in our town council, it was mentioned that Jefferson Canyon was going to be bringing $2 to $3 million to the town. So that should be able to pay for our fire trucks and funding and equipment. I think you said that. That's all I have to say.
No, I didn't.
Okay, that ends the questions that the committee had. Yep. In 2006 and then again in, if you are elected, what are you going to do to help heal? Oh, I forgot. This was one that I requested. And I didn't realize it was going to make it on, but I'm glad it did. If you are elected, what are you going to do to help heal the division to our community? And I have to say today, for the last 8 years, I have stayed out of this building. I was run out of this building when I ran the Park and Recs. Okay? This is the first meeting that I have attended that I want to come back to. And it's because there was no shouting, there was no yelling, there was no grandstanding. So I want to say thank you. So if you would like to address that question, I know it was not on the original questions, but if you would like to address that question, I'll sit down and let you do that. Before I go to that.
First thing we need to do to stop the division and bring the community together again, it's a little social events we had, but the main thing is transparency. People feel like they cannot get any information from the town, which gets them quite agitated, and that's what causes the stuff that's going on now.
You said it, transparency. If I get elected, I have signed on for I'm going for the 2-year spot with Andy McGinnis. So it would be for 2 years. Chief asked me outside as I was walking in tonight. He says, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I said, "Yeah, I am. I'm sure." My wife has asked me that question probably 6 times since I filled out the application. And yes, I want to do this. Because I don't know, I feel like all we need as citizens of this community is to be able to talk, be able to communicate, get our ideas out there. And when, if I make it to the town council, I was at the town council meeting, a month ago? And that was a fantastic meeting. The thing that I loved the most about it was the dialogue that went back and forth with the council members and the mayor and the citizens. That even though it wasn't public comment time, it was just a very calm meeting. People were allowed to voice, ask questions and get clarification of things. And it was huge. It was just the communication. It was glorious to behold. It was awesome. And I would like to continue that.
Did you say it for the 5-minute answer?
You start talking, we'll see when I start the timer. 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds.
Okay. It's not up to me. it's up to the voters. We need a change. This is not working. This is not working. Let's bring some people in here that has a different look at things. We've been on this same route for so long that it seems like nobody wants to even come to the meetings. And I don't blame you. I understand because it's business as usual. But the voters out there are the ones that's going to control this, whether the community pulls together. As it stands right now, it's not going to happen with what you got. So you guys decide out there where you want to go and what direction you want to go. It's not me. I believe in honesty, having a clean slate. My record, you look at my resume and it'll tell you who I am when I ran for mayor. But the difference was, it's a good old boy. And I'm going to be honest with you, the good old boys run it. I come to Vegas. The mob used to run Vegas when I was there. And then the syndicate moved in and the corporations. I would rather have the mob. The problem is now we're definitely going down the tubes. And there's no transparency at all. Junior was kicked out of his office, the fire department. Harold Merritt, he did all those years of work. The volunteer people you don't have anymore. You have chaos in this office. I was here today. I'm here most of the time. There's chaos here. You got new people. Nobody wants to volunteer. As far as grants, you got a guy in the office here right now is a professional grant 23210. Good luck to the voters.
Thank you.
I agree. There probably needs to be more transparency, but I think it's a two-way street. I think it's up to the city council and the mayor's office and the citizens as well. They need to join together. How I plan on doing that, if I'm reflected as a city official, is canvass the community. Put myself out there. I want to make sure people know who I am, that I'm there to listen. If that means going door to door, I think that's how we begin the healing process, is when the residents feel they can come to the city council members or the mayor, voice their issues, feel like they're being listened to and considered. And that's what I plan on doing if I'm elected as a city council member, is making sure that I'm available and I'm there, and that the citizens know, and those that don't come to the meetings and aren't aware, that somehow we need to get it out there that they are aware, whether it's a quarterly newsletter in the water bill to let people know what's going on, that would be something you'd be willing to head up, whatever it is. I think it's going to be a process to fix, but I don't think it's a difficult fix. I think it's an easy fix. It's just a matter of trust between the residents and the city.
I personally want to thank all who came out tonight. I'm impressed with everybody, even Richard and Margaret. They know I'm tormenting them. All right, look, it's okay. I'm just teasing them. I'm already in that game to unify this community. That was part of the main reason I came back. I've heard it all. Transparency is huge. Communication is huge. We're here to serve the people of Apple Valley. That's our job. And if our ears aren't turned towards our citizens, we're already lost. Because really, even the council, we all live here too. I think as a rule of thumb, everybody who probably wants what's best for the community. It's, we're all independent people. We're independent thinkers. We all have our own opinion. But when we sit up here, we have to put our personal feelings and opinions aside. We have to do what is good for the community as a whole. That's really what it comes down to, communication. Bury the hatchets. Me and Yosaski's have been at odds for years. I mean, years. And we just decided to just end it. And we did.
We did?
We did. Well, me and Margaret did, Richard. I'm not sure where you're at. I'm just saying, basically, I'm telling you, if me and Richard could mend our ways and just both come to an agreement, you know, we're gonna move forward and what's happened in the past is done and over with. This community can do it.
Absolutely.
So, in 2020, COVID hit us, but we had planned on having an Easter egg hunt. And Junior had, the fire department had planned on doing a chili cook-off. As before we were able to get it canceled, I says, you know, they were one weekend apart. I says, let's put them on the same weekend. Went to him and suggested, let's have the chili cook-off on Easter at the same time as the Easter egg hunt. We'll have all these families here anyway. We'll have better participation. I says, I'll pay for the food myself out of my pocket. All the profit for anything that's taken in, of course, is the fire department. And then I went and Andy McGinnis and I had a meeting. And I said, how do we put this together? How do we do this better? Is every event is a fire event. Why not have the firefighters out there scooping the ice cream at an ice cream social? These guys have a tremendous amount of ability to get things for free from the community. So we have a raffle on 2 or 3 items at every ice cream social. We have a rib cook-off. It should be for the fire department. And they're the sponsoring or the ones that get the funds out of that every single time. That's how you bring the community together, I think, or through those events in the park with the fire department participating in part of it. So that would be my way of trying to heal this and put it back together.
Thank you.
I was on the original Parks and Rec. I think I was before you.
I came in before you. I think I remember.
You sure?
Yeah, it was with, I took over for Maureen.
I was there when Marie was the chair, so I was, but anyways, bottom line is I worked with, on the Parks and Rec, and then I quit because I didn't like the way it was going. And then I went back on the events committee, it changed to events committee. And I'll tell you what, you know, all the people there was 4 of us on that events committee, and we worked our butts off trying to put these events on for the community. And it would have been nice if more people would have showed up and enjoyed it, but you know, you can't force people to do anything. Those ice cream socials, you know, I don't know if people realize how hard it is to bend over and scoop that ice cream out and reach over the table and put it in a little cone. But it's hard work, and there was only 4 of us doing it. But I think events would help. It brings some of the community back together. New people moving in, they don't know all the history, so that's a plus for one thing, because then they don't, you know, they'll be there thinking, oh yeah, this is a great thing, because they don't know all the history and all the animosities and what has gone on in the past. And it is time we move forward and get our community back to working as a cohesive, you know, wheel moving of all the things together. So anyway, that's what I'm for.
Now I didn't read that last question. Do you, as candidates, want to take some open questions, or do you want that to wait for the next debate? The debate?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 8:10 already,
Yeah,
so.
okay.
I shouldn't take questions.
No.
Let's quit
All right, the committee has spoken, so thank you.
I gotta.
Thank you.
Let's see if we can do it again.
I want to say thank you to the committee as well.
I know
For
there's
making
no
that
time
happen.
for public comments, but we've been here for 20 years. And I just want to say thanks so much to everyone, to the council candidates, and also to the town administration for how well this has been organized. I have some misgivings when I first got handed the handout, and I've read it multiple times during the meeting and listened to what everybody said. And I mean, there's 12 solid separate related topics that's been covered here tonight. We've learned a lot. I want to especially thank the administration, whoever it was who put this together. Thank you very much. Job well done. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Good deal, Alderman.
I just wanted to thank everybody too. I've been to a few of these meetings and you guys know I'm pretty vocal. And today was so well done. Not only that, but you guys did very well. Also, I learned a lot. I met more. And then I want to tell the citizens, we have to be here though. There were days that there was 4 of us after a meeting. And if we don't show up, we can't expect them to do their best if we're not doing our best. So if we can support them,